Hello everybody, welcome back. I am Dwayne Rothman. I am the Furious Wrestling fan. And I'm here to talk to you about Elimination Chamber 2020. This show that I just got finished watching. The final show, the final pay-per-view on this road to Wrestlemania. I haven't done anything on here recently. I haven't done any rants. I haven't done any reviews. I haven't done much anything. Partially because I haven't had the time, but the other part of it is, mind you, I haven't been doing anything on the channel as far as this stuff recently, but I have been paying attention, and for most of it, I simply don't care enough. I don't care. And I've been a fan of professional wrestling pretty much my entire life, and I'm to a point where anything and everything that I see is bullshit, and I don't even care to pay attention to it anymore. I do just, I think, out of habit, mostly. So I still catch glimpses of what's going on. But still, there hasn't been a whole lot that I've really, wanted to cover or even wanted to watch for that matter. I didn't review Super Showdown because, quite simply, I didn't watch the thing. I will never watch one of these Saudi Arabian pay-per-views ever again. I simply refuse. It's just not going to happen. So that was why there was no review on that. And as far as, some of this other stuff, trust me when I tell you, I still have been paying attention. I know that they dropped Buddy from the Buddy Murphy name, so it's just Murphy now, which makes no damn sense. I paid attention to Shayna biting people, which I'll get to Shayna here in a little bit. I've seen, a bunch of, nobodies getting, championships, and I've seen, what's been happening since Royal Rumble. There's definitely been some things that have irritated me half to death, but again, I simply haven't cared enough to really go into it. But I figure this is the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania. Maybe I should pay attention to this, and really I had nothing better to do today, which is sad when I really think about it now, because I should have had anything better to do today than pay attention to this damn show, and I'll get into the reasons why as we go along. So, Elimination Chamber 2020. Of course, you start out with a damn pre-show. And in this pre-show, of course, they got to cover all the feuds and all the matches and everything that's supposed to be going on during this pay-per-view. Really don't understand the point of it, because all the little packages and stuff they show to hype all these matches, they show them before the match happens anyways. So there's really no point to any of this. But the only thing that I come to find out while watching this damn pre-show is that there was one thing that I really wanted to see, and there's one thing I did not give a flying fuck to ever see again. And the thing that I really wanted to see was Aleister Black and AJ Styles. I'm a fan of both of these guys. I haven't necessarily been a fan of, what they've been doing as of late, with their creative, what creative's been giving to them. AJ getting smashed in like 30 seconds by The Undertaker, and Aleister Black, keep getting fed to the wolves every week on Raw. So, they don't look like viable contenders to anybody, I don't feel like, at this point. But anyways, I like both of their work. Been a fan of Aleister Black for a while, and I've been a fan of AJ Styles for ever. So this match I really did want to see. And then the who cares part of this, the one thing that I really could have cared less to see was Andrade and Humberto Carrillo for the 178th time. I really didn't give a shit, but that was supposed to be happening again. So, as we go through all that, they got Ruby Riott on the panel. She's fired up. There's a nice little promo from her, saying that no one's going to be able to forget her ever again. That she was forgotten about during the time that she was off for the injuries and whatnot. So, I like that. A nice little promo from her. And then we go to Miz and Morrison, who have recently reunited, apparently, and are once again the tag team champions. And no necessarily disrespect to John Morrison. Miz can go screw himself as far as I'm concerned. I never liked The Miz, and I never will. But as far as these guys as a tag team, and they're once again the tag team champions, to me it just goes to show that your tag divisions are shit. Because you either have old reunited tag teams as your tag team champions, or somebody that hasn't been around very long, as in your other tag team champions that just show up on the scene. You just give them the titles. So you don't know what to do with your fucking tag team divisions. So just give them to either reunited tag team partners, or ones that just show up on the scene, because the actual tag teams you have, apparently you don't know how to utilize. So, you got that all going for you. It was supposed to be some kind of an interview with Miz and Morrison, I guess, but they couldn't ask any questions because neither one of them would shut the hell up for 10 seconds to get a question in. So, either way, that was basically that. Your one match on the pre-show, you got the Viking Raiders against Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. And just with that alone, you already know where this is going. Viking Raiders, they've been put on the back burner, but still not quite far back as Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins. And obviously with Ryder and Hawkins as your opponents, you already knew the outcome of this match before the bell even damn rang. So they start off, and Eric, he's just throwing around both guys like they're nothing, because that's how they've been booked practically their entire careers and their tenures in WWE. They are nothing. So, Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, they do take over for a hot second. There's a little bit of teamwork with them. But Ivar comes in, he just cleans house. He's doing cartwheels for some fucking reason. I don't understand. It's one of them things, and we've been hearing it a lot. If you watch any of the other original, I guess, programs on the WWE Network or anything, little documentary type things or whatever, you've had a couple people talking about less is more. Instead of, being able to do everything, or just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. Ivar, just because he can do some of these things doesn't mean that he should. He should just walk in there and start running through people like a freight train. He shouldn't be doing fucking cartwheels. Okay? It shouldn't be a thing. But either way, the Raiders win with the Viking experience. They pretty much crush Ryder and Hawkins. They look dominant, as they should, against Hawkins and Ryder. But being that those were the opponents for the Vikings here, big whoop. Big deal. Meant nothing. So then we go to the main show, and the show opens with Daniel Bryan against Drew Gulak. And it goes to show for me what they don't know what to do with literally anybody. Daniel Bryan, now mind you, I'm not a big Daniel Bryan fan. Haven't been, probably never will be, but he was just challenging for the Universal title, a month ago? Maybe a month and a half, and now here he's opening the show with who? A former 205 Live Cruiserweight? What? Why? For what? What's the reason for this? So they go on to explain, I guess the answer to that question is, I guess Drew Gulak has been, telling people that he's found flaws in Daniel Bryan's game plan, and Daniel Bryan challenges him to this match. So out of all the people that could, would, or should have been on this show, we get a match between Daniel Bryan and Drew Gulak, who really don't even have any sort of a rivalry or reason to fight each other to begin with, besides, maybe a little bit of smack talk, but that's it. That's the only reason. And so we get this match, okay? Big whoop-de-doo. Now, mind you, the match itself, I will say, I had absolutely no interest in at all. Could have cared less. But I will give credit to where it is due, and I was pleasantly surprised with the majority of this match. Okay? There was a lot of wrestling. There was a lot of wrestling holds, wrestling takedowns. They're working the holds, and it's back and forth. Actual, some technical wrestling in there, which you don't see a lot of anymore. So it was a nice change of pace. It was a nice variation of what you typically see nowadays. They had this one spot though where both of them were trying to lock in a leg lock, and they're like trying to kick each other while they're laying on the ground, like with their free leg. Look kind of awkward and stupid. But I could kind of, I guess, in a sense, see what they're going for. Each one trying to gain the advantage and stuff, and just using whatever means they had to try to do so. It just, to me, it looked a little weird. Again, hold for hold, it does get a little boring, but that's not necessarily because of, it's because of what they're doing, but it's not because of what they're doing. And what I mean by that is it's a little boring because of the style that they're working. It's not flips and jumping around all over the place, high octane, but that's not what that style is meant to be. So, what they were doing was good. It just, compared to nowadays, I would imagine most fans would get very bored seeing this. I didn't mind it. I'm just saying, for the most part, and for most people, probably could have been a little, a little boring to some people. Gulak takes control after a little while, and then we get this suplex over the top rope, but he holds on to Daniel Bryan, and both guys go tumbling out of the ring. That was an interesting spot there. One that probably could have went really wrong, but they pulled it off. They get back in the ring, and we get various suplexes back and forth. One guy will do one version of a suplex, and then another guy will come around and do another variation of the suplex, some pinfalls and stuff. We get this high-release German suplex from Drew Gulak, and Daniel Bryan lands right on his head. It looked, he was selling the neck a little bit anyway, just because of one of the other suplexes, but he lands right on his head. And it looked like Daniel Bryan could have possibly been injured right there. He goes to the outside, he rolls out. It looks like he's going to get counted out. And then what happens? Daniel Bryan just jumps right back into the ring, and he fights back like nothing was wrong. That's where I started having a problem with this match. What you should have done, and the way that German suplex, the result of it, the landing on the head like that, I'm sure wasn't exactly how that was supposed to go. But as far as I'm concerned, you could have worked with that. You could have stopped the match like Daniel Bryan was hurt. And you actually really could have worked an angle into this, maybe even into the pre-show at WrestleMania. I don't necessarily see the actual WrestleMania show per se. Maybe, depending on how they would have done it. Possibly, but you could have drugged this out a little bit further and actually made an angle out of this. Drew Gulak injures Daniel Bryan and his, future wrestling career after fighting back from the concussions, the head injuries, the neck injuries, fighting back to be able to get back in the ring in the first place, just to be injured again at the hands of Drew Gulak, and hopefully he's not actually hurt, and he could actually, in the angle, work his way back again to want to get some revenge on Drew Gulak. You could have done that route with it and actually made a story and made a reason for these guys to actually fight each other. But instead, Daniel Bryan jumps back in, gets a flurry, offense, things going back and forth, fighting back like nothing had happened. You finally get these guys on the top rope. There's a reverse superplex from Drew Gulak to Daniel Bryan, and goes right into the Dragon Sleeper. Daniel Bryan reverses into the yes lock. Daniel Bryan wins. Just like that. They had me up until Daniel Bryan just kept, he just came right back like nothing was wrong. That reverse superplex, that could have meant something too. But it didn't. If the German suplex wouldn't have put Daniel Bryan out of commission, then the reverse superplex, you could have worked that into that angle with that maneuver instead. Further punishment, and Daniel Bryan just couldn't continue anymore. But because they just transitioned it into something else, Daniel Bryan reverses that. That reverse superplex meant nothing. Had no business being there in the match. It was pointless. Either way, Daniel Bryan wins. Overall, I felt that it was a decent match because of the style that they were working. It was different, so in my eyes, it stood out. But by the end, nothing mattered in the end anyway. It didn't matter. Again, there was no build-up for it really in the first place, and they could have had something out of that and done something more with it later on, but, it didn't matter. Didn't matter at all anyway. we go from there to an interview with Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode. And to be quite honest with you, I didn't give a damn about a single word that they said. Really couldn't give a shit. The only thing I noticed was the television that was behind them on the wall did some kind of weird thing where, I don't know, there was a little static or something, and something changed, and then the Elimination Chamber logo and stuff came back, and it was weird because the TV camera looked like it was somewhat focusing on it, in the corner of the screen, and then when that happened, then they just kind of moved it back over to Ziggler and Roode. And I tried to keep paying attention to some things to see if that actually mattered, if that had something maybe to do with, maybe the Fiend or something, or I don't know, maybe it meant something. Apparently didn't mean anything. Unless there was something I missed, but I didn't see anything else like that, so I don't really know what any of that was about. But as far as the interview goes, didn't matter. I didn't care about anything that they said. I really didn't pay attention. So we go from there to the one match that I did not want to see. I didn't care. And I actually started to, zone out when this match was taking place. This is for the United States Championship. Andrade versus Carrillo yet again for the 776th time. So they've been fighting each other for months, and now they just threw the U.S. title, into the mix for who knows why. But either way, it starts out very quick. It looked like Andrade was going to go for a big kick. It was, rejected, neglected, and deflected by Carrillo just to get a big elbow in the face. Practically knocked him out. In my opinion, it should have ended the match right there. I mean, they showed it down with the replay. There was some heavy contact there with his elbow from Andrade to Carrillo. Should have knocked him right out. But no, it doesn't. Carrillo just comes back, starts taking control, looked like nothing ever happened, like he was never touched, never phased, and this is the kind of shit that I hate in these matches like this. You just got elbow in the face, you could have possibly lost a tooth, or if it would have hit you just right, knocked your nose onto the other side of your face, but no, he just pops back up and he takes control. He's flying around all over the damn place. From this rope to that rope to the floor to here and there and everywhere. Once again, I didn't care. I start zoning out at this point. So I'm paying attention little and little, less and less. Andrade does take control again at one point, but he teases a floor DDT by, wanting to pull the matting back up again. Apparently he either couldn't figure out how to do it or just said the hell with it for whatever reason. But he grounds Carrillo with some submissions, but then it goes back and forth some more. They do that stupid thing where they're clearly working together. They're standing on the middle and top rope, and you get that super Hurricane Rana fucking thing. I hate that spot. I hate it with such a passion because you can tell that they're working together to pull it off in the first damn place. Whole fucking thing is out of place and doesn't make any sense, but they did it again for the 167th time. Zelina Vega, of course, who is with Andrade, she pulls up the mats. Either Andrade couldn't figure out how to do it, or he just gave up on it, or he realized that Vega was supposed to do it later on in the match anyways, but here's her time, here's her spot. She pulls the damn mats up. And, they try to do that, the DDT, both guys, I think, or something, whatever. Again, I really wasn't paying much attention at this point. They're back in the ring, and there's like 30 different pinfall attempts from both guys, and finally Andrade grabs the tights, and he wins. Just like that. So, at this point, you're meaning to tell me that the guy can get knocked the hell out with an elbow, and then act like nothing's wrong. He can get beat to a pulp. He can get his arms twisted off by this guy for however long damn this match was. It was too fucking long to begin with. But he can take all this punishment, but as soon as his tights get grabbed, he can't kick out now. To me, it was ridiculous. I couldn't stand that. You mean it's out of all the things that could have ended the match, the tights get grabbed and he can't kick out anymore. It's completely ridiculous. But Andrade wins and he's still the United States champion. Whoop-de-freaking-do. Now, we go to the first of 2 Elimination Chamber matches in the night. This is for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Okay? I've said it once, then I've said it a million times. I hate a whole bunch of people in one match. I hate these big multi-man matches. The Elimination Chamber match is one thing to begin with 6 competitors in the ring, which I'll talk about one here in just a little bit. But this one, it's a tag team one, so now you got 12 damn people in this chamber at one time. There's no call for this. Absolutely none. And the other thing that kills me is that you have 2 chamber matches throughout the night. Not one singles title is defended in one of these damn chamber matches. No, the other chamber match is a number 1 contenders match of all fucking things, but the tag team titles can be defended in the chamber, which doesn't even need tags to be made in the middle of this match. So what the hell's anyway, The Miz and Morrison defend against the New Day, Lucha House Party, Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler, Heavy Machinery, and the Usos. And I'll mention it here now because I wrote it down. I noticed it earlier in the show, but now that they actually have the chamber down, it's on the floor, it's surrounding the ring. I hate this chamber. I really do. Compared to the other one that was a big black dome that surrounded the ring with the grates, around the ring, the curved pods. The thing looked menacing. It looked like it could tear you apart. This is a pansy-ass chamber. I hated this chamber the moment that they brought it in. Okay, this boxy, square thing with these, plexiglass panes above the pods and shit. I hate this chamber. It looks like a toy. More so than a, demonic structure. So I'm just going to point that out. I hate this chamber. So Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, they're last apparently. They won some gauntlet match or something on SmackDown. So they're for sure already going to be the last ones out of their pod. So as far as I'm concerned, so much for your random rule, right? The whole idea of the chamber that you don't know when it is you're going to be, thrust into this chamber match. Well, that's thrown right out the damn window. I guess they had to add something to this match, right? Why not? So, just like I've mentioned in the past, whether it's on my own show or one of the other shows that I've done with my buddies or something, that, well, because it's a theme pay-per-view, it's Elimination Chamber, we gotta have an Elimination Chamber match, we gotta put some people in the chamber. To me, that's what this felt like. They had to have a chamber match, so they just threw 6 teams into this fucking chamber for no other reason other than just to have a chamber match. So the New Day and the Usos, they go back and forth. They have a rivalry, they have some history, so they do some things with each other back and forth, but nothing really to speak of. The countdown starts, that 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, countdown to the next pod opens, and the action stops. The guys in the ring, they're not all down. They haven't worn each other out. They're standing there in the middle of the ring waiting for one of the pods to open, like they're going to work together or something. I thought that it was like every team for themselves. But they stand there like a couple doofuses and just wait for the next team to come out. It seems silly to me. Lucha House Party comes in. They just clear the ring. But then right after that, the New Day shuts that down. Lince Dorado, he tries to do the whole RVD thing where he jumps onto the side of the chamber, but his feet slip through the links of the chamber sidewall, and he missed it to grab it or something. So he catches his feet and ankles inside the side wall of the cell, and he falls on the back of his head because his feet are tied up into the cell. But right away he just pops right back up, continues to climb up he didn't fuck it up to begin with. And that's, obviously he had to probably get to the top of that pod because he had to line up for his next spot. So instead of working that into the match, he really could have injured himself. Nope, that was a minor hiccup. Give me just a second and I'll fix it. Instead, it just, I don't know. I don't know. either way, he climbs all the way up the damn thing after nearly breaking his ankles. You know, he gets up on the pod, and he comes off the pod. Actually, both guys, both of Lucha House Party come off the pod because Grand Metalik made his way up there at some point. And before even all of this, you know, they're trying to do some double team, you know, moves, you know, some Lucha Libre type stuff. Grand Metalik looked like he was supposed to do some kind of like, you know, sit out thing and screwed that all up. And Lince Dorado, you know, was screwing up the one thing. And then, you know, these guys, I swear, anytime I want to like Lucha House Party, I want to like the Luchadors because, you know, I've been a big fan of Rey Mysterio forever. And when Lucha Underground was a thing, you know, even though they did a lot of that stuff too, just flying all over the place, I understand that that's the Lucha Libre style. And if that's what I'm expecting to watch, I can just kind of look past a lot of that. So, and I liked Lucha Underground. You know, I liked watching a lot of those guys and what they were doing and stuff. And so I want to like Lucha House Party, but both of these guys, Lince Dorado and Grand Metalik, and even Kalisto, anytime I see him, which I don't even know where he's been recently. I don't even know if he's still a thing, but anytime I even seen him, he seemed to screw up shit a lot. So, you know, when you have other luchadors in stuff like Lucha Underground or somewhere else, and then you go and watch these guys, they look like discount store luchadors. Like they're the ones that they, you know, were able to get at a WWE was able to get them at a discount for a cheaper price, and they just don't work as good, you know, as the other ones or something. And it's always looked like that. But, you know, you get some more of that here, unfortunately. But Lince Dorado, he comes off the damn, you know, pod, and he takes out the Usos, and Grand Metalik comes off the pod. He takes out the Usos, which is, again, you know, staged just like that, because both the New Day happen to be in one spot together, and both the Usos happen to be in one spot together so that they can all get taken out, you know, in tandem. It just obviously staged, obviously how it was supposed to happen. Everybody right in the right spot and right at the right time, instead of, you know, look like they're in a fight in this demonic structure. So the next team that comes out is Miz and Morrison. They start taking everyone out one by one. You know, they're working together as a team, and they're taking out both, you know, everybody one at a time. One Uso, one New Day, one Luchador. Rinse and repeat. You know, we get a big Hurricane Rana from Grand Metalik to John Morrison at one point, and then by this point, Heavy Machinery comes out. They just start crushing everybody. And then once they do, they stand there. They stand around. Big Otis, starts like pacing back and forth like he doesn't know what the fuck he's even there for. Doesn't have a clue what he's supposed to do next. He looks like, the look on his face is like, I don't know why I'm here. Where am I? What am I doing? What day is it? What year is it? Who am I? You know, it just looked awkward and stupid. Some other stuff goes on, and at this point I'm tuning out. I really am. The next thing I catch is Lince Dorado doing like the monkey bars across the top of the roof of the chamber, and, you know, he swings himself into a shooting star onto everybody in the middle of the ring. At first, I'm like, oh my God, that was really cool. Until logic once again kicked in, and I realized that, once again, everybody stood around waiting for the spot to happen, because he happens to take out pretty much everybody who just happened to be in a pile in the center of the ring. You know, instead of a couple guys on the outside of the ring on this side of the chamber, or in this corner of the ring, they're all just all right there just waiting to catch him. You know, the actual you know, performance of the maneuver itself was actually kind of cool. You know, fairly impressive. Hell, I would have preferred if he would have done the exact same thing, but only like hit 2 or 3 guys, you know, and not everybody. That way, when just a few moments later, when somebody took out Grand Metalik and pinned him and then eliminated the team anyways, somebody could have been doing that on the other side of the ring right after Dorado hits this shooting star, instead of everybody getting hit and then having to, kind of recover and then do this like 10 seconds later, so that's one of them things too. Finally, Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler, they come in. Tucker, member of Heavy Machinery, does a front flip off the pod. Otis finally gets his hands on Ziggler. Apparently Ziggler's taken his girlfriend, or wannabe girlfriend, Mandy Rose, away from Otis. So he tries to run and smash Dolph Ziggler, except he runs through the pod door, and then through the back of the pod out onto the floor. Now, as interesting as that is, because, once again, just like in a bunch of these other gimmick matches, going through the pod door is a spot that has to be in every single chamber match. Just has to be a thing. Okay? It has been since the first one. This is one of them things, if they were using the old chamber, this couldn't happen because the fucking chain link, or the metal chain, wall went all the way around, and that was the back of the pod. No, it was one of them stupid plexiglass, because it can't be, like real glass or nothing. It's got to be this, sheet of flimsy-ass plexiglass. Otis just plows right through it, and he damn near winds up in the first row. So, because the chamber and the pods are set up this way, it was an interesting way to do this same old plow through the fucking pod door spot. So, I guess if you're going to do one, try to reinvent it a little bit. Otis was able to do that, so I guess there's at least 1 point to him for that. At least being able to do it a little differently. But then basically right after that, Tucker gets eliminated, therefore eliminating Heavy Machinery. Let's see here. The New Day, I believe it was, eliminate the Usos. No. Excuse me. Excuse me. I got things all mixed up because, again, at this point, I really didn't care. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Somewhere I got something mixed up because I know there's something not right in my notes here. But regardless, we get this stereo pinfall between Miz and Morrison. They roll up one of the Usos. They win. And so Miz and Morrison defy the odds, and they retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles in a chamber match where there didn't need to be any damn tags. So, this match had a couple, interesting things in it, but overall, it was just another chamber match. It was another PG era chamber match. Not a whole lot of violence. Not a whole lot of blood. No blood, excuse me. Not really all that spectacular. I suppose it's one of them things where they did the best they could with the platform that they were given. It just was what it was. And Miz and Morrison retain. Woohoo. Next up, we get the one match that I was looking forward to. At least when they were talking about it, up until, the thing really kind of gets started, because once again, this makes no sense, and I'll explain why. This is no disqualification. AJ Styles versus Aleister Black. Now, at the very beginning of this match, AJ Styles, Aleister Black, they're in the ring, they're sizing each other up a little bit, with Gallows and Anderson standing on the outside of the ring. And right away, I'm already confused. And I'm confused because my logic kicks in, okay? And this is no disqualifications. And one of the competitors, mind you, who is supposed to be, I guess, the heel in this scenario, has his buddies on the outside of the ring. Yes? Correct. So I don't quite understand why this wasn't a 3-on-1 scenario right from the start. Why didn't Gallows and Anderson just jump right in? They triple team Aleister Black. They stomp and beat him to within an inch of his life, and AJ Styles just walks out the victor. You know, logically, in an actual fight where there's no rules, you can't be disqualified. Isn't that how that would happen? The heel's beating up the guy that's supposed to be the babyface in this scenario with no rules apply, and he's got no backup whatsoever? I don't know. I need to stop using logic, apparently. So they're sizing each other up. They start working on, well, actually, Aleister Black starts getting some strikes in, but AJ Styles starts working on one of the legs. And then, you know, the weapons have to come into place because it's no DQ, which is fine. But the weapon that gets introduced is the damn kendo stick. Fucking snore. Again, instead of a steel chair like you would when I grew up watching this shit, and you would just take a chair and bash somebody in the face. Nope, it's got to be this stupid stick because the kendo stick is the PG steel chair of the modern era. So a few shots with the kendo stick, but eventually Aleister Black, he just takes over, and he gets to the outside of the ring. He introduces the table because the crowd is chanting, "We want tables." So they got to bring a table into the ring. Why not? And at this point, now I'm really questioning the logic here because Aleister Black is in control. He is beating down AJ Styles a little bit, and AJ Styles' partners, his buddies, his backup, is standing on the outside of the ring, and there's no DQ match, just allowing him to get his ass whipped. I just don't get it. But they keep going back and forth, you know, and they go back and forth over and over again. Aleister Black will gain the advantage, and AJ will gain the advantage. Aleister Black will gain the advantage, AJ Styles will gain the advantage. Back and forth and back and forth. It's this 50-50 booking that they have nowadays that they do in every fucking match for the most part. And I say the most part because you'll see a difference in that later in this damn show, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm still pissed off about it too, as a matter of fact. But anyway, finally, you know, Aleister Black, he does get a nice moonsault in there. But during that moonsault, AJ Styles, you know, it was the Shawn Michaels Undertaker Wrestlemania spot from years ago. Aleister Black does the moonsault. AJ Styles catches him upside down. And he does the, the thumb across the throat, mocking the Undertaker, right? Because AJ Styles has this thing against the Undertaker right now because the Undertaker whips AJ Styles in Saudi Arabia in like 13 seconds flat or 30 seconds, whatever the fuck it was. The Undertaker beats AJ Styles with one singular chokeslam. If I seen this correctly, because again, I've been paying attention, guys. I told you, I've been paying attention to some of it. Especially when it comes to The Undertaker, because he's my all-time favorite, always has been. But he beats AJ Styles in Saudi Arabia, and if I remember correctly, he didn't even take his hat or jacket off. So AJ Styles, once again, how is he a threat to anybody? But anyways, enough of that part of my rant. He catches Aleister Black. He does the thumb across his throat. It looks like he's going to go for the tombstone pile driver. It gets reversed by Aleister Black. They make their way to the outside of the ring again. They start peeling, the stuff off one of the announcers' tables. Looks like they're going to use the announcer table. But there's a kick by Aleister Black. It sends AJ off the table and he bites the table. It basically goes face first to the announce table. We get a Meteora double knees through the table by Aleister Black. It looks like AJ may finally lose at this point because it looks like Aleister Black's going to set up for the Black Mass in the center of the ring. Then the OC comes in and interferes. It took them this long to finally come in and back up their buddy, when they should have just wasted Aleister Black right before the bell even fucking rang. Or even after it rang. It didn't even matter, because again, there's no rules. But they waited all this time. It looks like he's about to get his head kicked off. And then they finally come in and they jump Aleister Black finally. You get a magic killer, and it looks like the OC, Gallows and Anderson are going to set up Aleister Black to just hold him there for AJ Styles to get that phenomenal forearm in there, and the lights go out. The lights come back on. Aleister Black's nowhere in sight, but The Undertaker's standing in the middle of the ring, and he's got his hands around the throats of Gallows and Anderson, just choking the life out of them. AJ Styles, he does the springboard. He goes to go for the phenomenal forearm. The Undertaker turns around, grabs him by the throat, big choke slam. The lights go back out. The Undertaker disappears. At that point, Aleister Black makes his way back into the ring. You get a beautiful Black Mass. I love that kick. It looks so beautiful every time. I love it. Black Mass and Aleister Black wins the match. Now, that being said, I love the ending. If they're going to set up this match between The Undertaker and AJ Styles, the fact that The Undertaker made an appearance at Elimination Chamber, foiled AJ Styles and the OC in this match to really, make his presence known. I love that. I love the fact that, Aleister Black was finally able to get that beautiful Black Mass in and really show the power and the lethalness of the kick. I loved it. The rest of the match, however, I guess it was good for what it was. If the OC wouldn't have been there, it would have made more sense to me if they would have been barred from ringside or something, because they weren't a factor until the very end anyways, and the only reason they were there is for The Undertaker to show up, I guess. When they could have done the exact same thing, like if Aleister Black was getting ready to stand up and AJ is, still preparing to do this phenomenal forearm, and the lights go out, Undertaker's there, and catches AJ Styles anyway, and done the exact same thing just without the OC involved, I think, because I wouldn't have had to think of, well, logically, this should happen, with the OC just beating up Aleister Black, I probably could have enjoyed it a little more, but the fact is, since the logic of it didn't make any sense, it took me out of it. It really did. But I did like the ending. So Aleister Black wins, and you get a little layer on top for the Undertaker AJ style match that we're supposed to be getting for WrestleMania. Who knows what's going to be happening with Aleister Black? He may not even be on the damn show for all we know, but he wins here against AJ Styles. Next is the Raw Tag Team Championships. The brand new Raw Tag Team Champions, the Street Profits, against Seth Rollins and Buddy Murphy. Excuse me, Murphy. He's not Buddy anymore, apparently. But this is the kind of thing that I was talking about. They don't know what to do with their tag team divisions and their tag team titles. So they just gave them to the Street Profits. Just handed them over to them. But the guys that they took it from, who was Seth Rollins and Murphy, are just some random fucking schmoes that they threw together to give the titles to for a hot minute anyways, which there was really no reason for that. They weren't really an established tag team. Seth Rollins, obviously, he's the star in all of this, But as far as I'm concerned, if they're the top of the food chain, their main titles, if their main title pictures for the Universal and the WWE Championships, if those title pictures weren't so screwed up, Seth Rollins should be in that mix instead of the tag team title mix. But no, this is where he finds himself. Either way, Street Profits, they go on and on for a minute backstage. They're ranting and raving, and I didn't really give one shit about what they were talking about, but they finally make their way out to the ring. Here comes Seth and Murphy. They got the AOP with them. Street Profits, they're working on Murphy. And finally, Rollins comes in. He takes over. But then Seth Rollins really looks like a chump, because here he is, a former multi-time champion with the WWE titles, the Universal titles, Intercontinental titles, about every title you can think of, but here he's getting thrown around by who I still consider nobodies at this point. Yes, they're the tag team champions, but whoop-de-doo, they're just getting thrown around by these guys like he's never accomplished anything in his life. It's disgraceful as far as I'm concerned. And at this point, Murphy comes back in. He gets thrown around a bit. So now these guys are throwing around not only Murphy, but Rollins too. And at that point, Jerry the King Lawler, he's on commentary, right? And he says, something doesn't look right here. And yeah, you're right, King. I completely agreed. Seth Rollins, shouldn't be looking like a chump, but he is, whatever. So I completely agree with the King on that. Rollins finally takes control after about a year and a half. Finally starts getting some offense. It shouldn't take him this long, somebody that's this successful, to get any kind of offense. But anyways, he starts taking control, and Montez Ford, he starts jumping around like a child. I think he screwed up one little spot there or something, but he's jumping around like a damn jumping bean. He's jumping around all over the place. And I'm not saying jumping around like a damn cruiserweight or a luchador. He's just jumping. He's jumping here and he's jumping there. He's just jumping. Just look goofy. The Vikings come down to interrupt. They don't really get into the match. They just jump AOP. AOP and the Vikings, they start fighting and they make their way to the back and they disappear. That really didn't mean anything. There's no reason for that either. Except to, I guess even the odds, but I don't know. It didn't really serve much of a purpose to me as far as I'm concerned. As after that, the match if that would have been like towards the end of the match and the Vikings come down and they're beating up on AOP and it distracts Murphy and Rollins or something to help the Street Profits win, I guess I could have understood it a little more. But no, they fight off to the back and this tag team match just continues as normal, like nothing had ever happened. Dawkins gets a hot tag from Ford. He just cleans house. He just starts clearing the ring. At least for a minute, because then he gets shut down because Murphy and Rollins, they just start super kicking everybody. Street Profits gain control some more. They go back and forth. They keep blind tagging, just slapping each other on the back. These damn blind tags are irritating my soul. It's supposed to be a tag team match. The rule used to be, at least, that there's supposed to be some kind of hand-to-hand contact. I'd be fine with it, like if you front face lock the guy, you back him up to your corner, you just stick your hand up and your partner slaps your hand. That's a tag. You smack him in the back of the head or something, that shouldn't be a tag. It's irritating. Now, at this point, this damn match is taking forever. I'm literally starting to nod off and fall asleep at this point because I really don't care. I just want it to end. And I really just, start contemplating even finishing watching the show. Finally, Kevin Owens, he starts walking through the crowd. He's eating popcorn. I guess he's got a thing against Seth Rollins. They've been fighting each other week in and week out, I guess. But instead of being like extremely angry with Seth Rollins, wanting to just run down to the ring and jump into the ring and start taking Rollins' head off, he's just casually walking through the fans eating popcorns. No big deal, right? No big deal whatsoever. He jumps a barricade. He's sitting on one of the announcers' tables. Seth Rollins sees him. He walks over them. Seth walks over to Owens. Owens throws popcorn in his face. Doesn't even touch, Seth Rollins. Doesn't punch him in the face. Doesn't kick him in the face. Rollins doesn't retaliate. He's got popcorn in his hair. He just turns around. He points in Owens' face. And he gets pounced by Dawkins. He eats, the barricade. Owen stands there just continuing to eat his popcorn. So stupid. You get a frog splash onto Buddy Murphy and the Street Profits win. And they retain the tag titles. Big deal. The only thing, as far as I'm concerned, that you did in this match was bury Seth Rollins just a little bit further. Just poured some more dirt on his grave. Didn't mean anything. Street Profits, they're still your champions. Kevin Owens finally walks in the ring. He lightly sets down his bag of popcorn so it doesn't fall over, right? Got to be able to eat the popcorn still. He gives a stunner to Rollins, and then he walks back over to the other side of the ring, picks his popcorn back up. He rolls out of the ring and, pours some popcorn on Murphy as he walks out the ring, or out of the arena. It just, I don't know. To me, that was so silly. If there's supposed to be something between Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, make it look like he's actually pissed off at Seth Rollins instead of, somebody that, I don't know, just, it looked like he's just fucking with him instead of actually having a grudge against him or something. I don't know. Street Profits are your tag team champions still. Whoop the freaking do. Big deal. Moving on. Now, next is your Intercontinental Championship match. And essentially, it's supposed to be a 1-on-3 handicap match. But basically, it's a special version of a Fatal 4-Way match. Because whoever gets the pinfall or submission, if it's any of the other three guys, Braun Strowman loses the Intercontinental title, the Intercontinental Championship, to either Shinsuke, Cesaro, or Zayn, whoever gets the decision. Logic would tell, once again, logic, I keep using this word, okay? I keep using this word logic because it came up throughout the majority of the show. The logic would state that at least Cesaro would factor into this, but I would think Shinsuke more so, because Shinsuke Nakamura was the Intercontinental Champion before Braun Strowman took it from him, so you would think he'd really want this title back, right? So you would think that if either of these guys happened to get Braun Strowman down for a pinfall, that the other guys would try to break it up because, well, they want to be the champion, right? I guess that's not the case, and I'll get into that in a second. But instead of, all three guys in the ring at once, it's, made out to be a 3-on-1 handicap tag match. So, I will say, Sami Zayn I was fairly impressed with in this match. I haven't gave a shit about Sami Zayn ever once. Not once. Even when he was in NXT, he was going for that NXT title, and, a lot of people were behind him. Something about him I didn't care about. But in his little pre-match interview promo thing, and in this match, he's really turning up the knob of the chicken shit heel, which I think he's pulling off fairly well with what he was saying. And then, he's going to get in the ring, and he's just going to have the other guy stand on the apron. He's going to take care of it. And before the first punch or anything can be thrown, he tags out, Really just, he wants nothing to do with Braun Strowman actually, in real life. But he's talking a big game, so he's really turning on this heel thing. But let's see here. I wrote down something, forgot about tags. I don't really know why I wrote that. Maybe there wasn't a whole lot of tags. This match I really didn't give a shit about, to be honest with you, because as far as I'm concerned, as big as Braun Strowman is, he should have just been able to walk into the ring and throw all three of these guys around like dolls. It shouldn't have even mattered. But Braun Strowman basically isn't anybody either. They finally put a title on him, but as far as I'm concerned, it's way too late. They should have gave him like the Universal title or the WWE title a long time ago when he was real hot against Brock Lesnar, and people wanted to see, Braun Strowman, just crush him, and they didn't do it. They wasted his potential. They wasted his run. Therefore, this match shouldn't even be a thing, but here it is. The crowd was dead for it too. That's something that I noticed. As I'm literally trying to keep from falling asleep, the crowd is hardly making a sound. Braun does that stupid thing where he's running around the ring. He's chasing after Sami Zayn. Once again, this chicken shit heel thing. He's running around the ring, but he's just shoulder tackling Cesaro and Shinsuke as he's doing it. So, if I guess you're going to throw that in there, you're trying to get to the one main guy, so you just take the other ones out as you run past. I guess that was okay. Essentially, though, we get this double suplex combo kick thing, and Sami Zayn tells the other guys just to get the hell out the ring. He pins Braun Strowman, and Sami Zayn wins the Intercontinental title. And as they're going up the ramp, Shinsuke Nakamura. Cesaro probably, I guess really shouldn't care as much, but, he would think he'd wanted the title too. But Shinsuke, he's sitting there and he's holding up, Sami Zayn, congratulating him on winning this title, and I didn't get any of that. Wasn't it just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, Shinsuke, it was your Intercontinental title? You would think you would have wanted it back, right? But apparently not. You're just completely fine with this other guy taking this championship belt that you held. You're completely fine with it. To me, once again, that L word, guys, the L word. The logic makes no sense there. You would think that he would have wanted his title back instead of, letting somebody else just take it. It's fine. I didn't really want it anyway. Sami Zayn is your new Intercontinental Champion. So now, guys, we go to the root of my rage tonight. The root of why I'm in such a sour mood. Okay? It's your main event. It is the number 1 contenders match for the Raw Women's title. And it's an Elimination Chamber match. So, in the past, you would have these absolute wars. These bloody, knockdown, drag-out wars inside this chamber for, like, the WWE title. Or, at the time, the World Heavyweight Championship. Guys would be bleeding buckets of blood, and do whatever it takes to win the championship and walk out of the chamber as the last man standing and as the champion. And it has been reduced to a number 1 contenders match. That just tells me right there that the meaning of this match, the mystique that it had, the power that it had, it means nothing now. It's just another gimmick match, and it's really sad. In this match, you have Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Natalya, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. And already, just by looking at these names, it was already apparent who was winning this match. If the lead up to this match wasn't a giveaway enough, where the only one that's actually gotten their hands on Becky Lynch, the Raw Women's Champion, is Shayna Baszler, and she's the one in the match, or she's one of the 6 in the match, you already knew. It was a foregone conclusion. You already knew who was going to win this match, right? This match didn't even need to fucking happen. If you were just going to give Roman Reigns the Universal Championship opportunity, that's another thing I've been irritated about recently. WWE doesn't like to apparently use the word title shot anymore. It's a title opportunity now. That's something else that I could have had one of those epic rants about. But if you're just going to give Roman Reigns a shot at WrestleMania for the Universal title without really having a number 1 contenders match, why do we need to do it for the Raw Women's title and having inside an Elimination Chamber match when Natalya, Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, they haven't even been in title contention in the first fucking place. And Asuka, in the last couple months, has been beaten clean twice by Becky. So, since Shayna's the only one that's been able to get her hands on Becky, she's the only one that's a viable contender anyways, why do we even have this match in the first damn place? It just doesn't make sense. It was completely pointless. I'm going to touch on that again here in just a second. So, Ruby Riott and Natalya, they start this fiasco. Okay? Ruby, she winds up with her face getting smashed in the side of the cell real quick. So the action kind of takes place real fast, and on the outside of the ring, they're using the chamber wall. You get some suplexes and some slams on the outside onto the padding now, of this cell, this chamber. But there's back and forth offense. Finally, both of the ladies are down, and finally in comes Sarah Logan, who I guess is supposed to have been a wild card in this entire thing, but she's been basically a jobber for like the last, year and a half. So it was, as far as I'm concerned, Sarah Logan, she was going to be the first one eliminated in this match because there was really no reason for her to even be there. But she comes in, she gives these running knee strike to Natalya, who bounces off the pod. That actually looked, kind of devastating. If she were to continue doing some stuff like that and WWE to actually let her do some things, that, you know, could look pretty devastating, be a part of her arsenal. She might be able to become something, you know. But, of course, she's got to climb to the top of the pod, too. I think she chased after somebody or something. I don't know. But she ends up diving off the pod. You end up getting that classic, you know, 3-person powerbomb superplex combination thing. And at this point, Shayna Baszler comes out of the pod next. And here is where the whole damn thing comes off the rails. Okay? Shayna Baszler, again, I already knew that she was going to win this match. Once again, I said, foregone conclusion. But the way that it was done, oh, buddy, that left a bad taste in my mouth, okay? Shayna Baszler walks in. She eliminates Sarah Logan, obviously, first one, just like I said. But she eliminates not only Sarah Logan, but Sarah Logan and Ruby Riott. Both in less than a minute of stepping out of the pod. Just like that. Click, done. There goes Sarah Logan. There goes Ruby Riott. Ugh. Okay? Instead of being throw them around or something a little bit, do some actual wrestling maneuvers, have some other things go on. No. 2 eliminations in like the first 30 seconds of her stepping out of the pod. Bore. Okay? After this, she grabs Natalya, throws her into the pod. She then uses the pod door, slams it on her face a couple times. Submission, tap out. Now Natalya's gone. Shayna Baszler standing in the middle of the ring, all alone, by herself. You know what this is turning into? And it wouldn't stop here. Mind you, didn't stop here, ladies and gentlemen. This became the fucking Block show all over again. Okay? When Block fucking loser, Block Lobster, Bork Laser, whatever the fuck, in the Royal Rumble match, just eliminating everybody in like 2.5 seconds flat. It bored the shit out of me. All of us, this is the same thing. It was just a female version of it. Okay? And it's just because Shayna is what? Got some MMA background? You know, I feel sorry for Shayna. Now that I'm sitting here really thinking this over, if Ronda, Golden Girl Ronda would have been here, she would have been in that spot. Shayna would have got the fucking shaft. Because Ronda would have had this spot, not Shayna. Shayna is a second-class citizen compared to Ronda, but Ronda is nowhere to be seen, is she? But because she's got this MMA background too, she's got to make all these other women look like absolute shit. Okay? I'm all about, I was all about supporting Shayna Baszler. I've said this before. I don't know when or where. But I know I've said this before, even if it wasn't on the show. If I didn't say it on the show, I'll say it now. Shayna Baszler is actually, you know, as far as I'm concerned, grasped the WWE sports entertainment, you know, thing more than Ronda ever has or probably ever will. She's actually got some in-ring skill. I can actually get behind that. But if this is how they're going to use her on the main roster now, fuck Shayna Baszler, and she can get the fuck off my television too. Once again, it doesn't stop there. This fucking bullshit continues. So now she's in the ring by herself. Okay? And she stands there for the next 3 or 4 fucking minutes because the pods, they open in 5-minute intervals. She stands there. The action stops and we're all bored out of our fucking minds at this point. Okay? So finally, Liv Morgan, she's next. She comes out of the pod. She gets slammed and thrown around. She gets her face and head bounced off the side of the cell and gets ragdolled into the pod. She gets submitted. She passes the fuck out. Liv Morgan's gone. So now Shayna, once again, stands there with her thumb in her fucking ass, standing there in the middle of the damn ring with nothing to do. Okay? She stands there and stands there. Once again, it's the Block show, fucking female version. Bullshit all over again. Waiting some more. I'm twiddling my fucking thumbs in rage. Asuka is the last one that has to come into this match. I've loved Asuka since she started. She doesn't mean a fucking thing now because they've ruined her. They have buried the shit out of her. Yes, she's one half of the women's tag team champions, but you show me any women's tag teams or any women's tag team matches that mean one damn thing, there are none. I'll sit here and wait until my dying breath because their women's tag team division means nothing. You know? So I really would have loved to have seen Asuka come into the ring and spoil this whole thing. Would have loved to have seen that. And if she actually would have been booked halfway decent and not buried this whole last 2 or 3 months, I would have loved to have seen Asuka walk into the ring. They actually have an exchange. She gets the green mist and either gets in the submission or kicks Shayna's head off. And Asuka win the thing. Did you think that's how that happened? Nah. There was a little bit of back and forth, couple little submissions, a few kicks that work on the arm a little bit. You know, apparently Asuka suffered some kind of wrist or arm injury, so Shayna starts working on that. And she ends up, you know, getting Asuka into the submission. Asuka passes out. Shayna wins in about 2 minutes this time. Didn't take 30 seconds, about 2 minutes. Asuka buried some more. So just throw some more fucking dirt on her cold corpse too. So Shayna eliminates every single woman in this match. Most of them within about 15 to 30 seconds. So she has just been turned. I'm kind of hoping that the only thing that does come out of this is we never see Ronda ever again. Because there's no reason. There's no need. If Shayna's going to be booked this way, you don't need Ronda. Right? Ronda can sit her fucking happy ass at home. Maybe, just maybe, there is some news that we don't know about. Maybe Ronda is never coming back, so we just got Ronda 2.0 and female block when Shayna comes in. And now, this is how this went. So once again, I already knew that Shayna was going to win this match. I've said it before, I've said it 100 times, it was a foregone conclusion. It's the only one that makes sense to win this match in the first fucking place. So therefore the match didn't even need to happen. This whole match was pointless. It was more of this typical MMA, you know, fucking blockhead bullshit. You know, it buries your actual female wrestling talent. You know, you just kill even more of your women's division. The entire thing is bullshit. I turned that damn thing. I tell you what, I am so glad. I'm so glad that this is the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, because God knows I don't think I could suffer through and deal with another one. I don't think I could handle it. I'm glad that WrestleMania is the only one, the next one, and I tell you what, depending on how WrestleMania turns out, instead of the furious wrestling fan, I just may become the former wrestling fan. I can't sit through shit like this anymore, okay? The whole damn show, the whole fucking pay-per-view, as far as I'm concerned, really is pointless. Half these matches don't even matter. They don't really mean anything. You got one match that, you know, gave us finally the contender for one of the titles, but the match didn't even need to happen. And the way that they booked the thing and the way that they buried half of their women's division was bullshit. It was pointless. You didn't have any of your main event talents on this fucking show. It's the last show, the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania, and you think you'd have anybody out of the four that are supposed to be in your main event pictures, whether it's Drew, Block, fucking Goldberg, or Roman Reigns. You think any of them were on this show? Hell no. So what'd you get? You got a bunch of mid-level, mid-card matches that don't fucking mean anything. SmackDown Women's title was not mentioned, not seen. Apparently the SmackDown Women's title don't mean fucking shit. You get a United States Championship that you've seen 30 times all fucking ready. You get a handicap Intercontinental title, which made no damn sense. So, you know what? This is, the last one before WrestleMania, and I'm so glad because I couldn't bear to suffer through another one. So WrestleMania's coming up in like a month. We're going to see how WrestleMania goes, and after that, I don't know. It's going to depend on how WrestleMania goes, whether I even continue to watch or do any of this shit anymore. I'm telling you what, you know what, guys, I'm done. That's it. I'm finished. I can't do this anymore. Fucking pointless.